The support meta has been pretty stale for a while, but at least this patch we're finally seeing some meaningful nerfs to Kiriko, and slowly but surely even the off-meta supports have gotten strong enough to stand on their own. So let's get into the support tier list for Season 11. If you're looking to rank up on your favorite heroes, check out the link in the description below to get access to a Game Leap membership. There are tons of guides and courses that can level up your game and help you get better, faster. Make sure to check it out and enjoy the video. Starting off in C tier this time, even though it's an upgrade from Season 10, things haven't gotten much better for Mercy. Even as the meta becomes more spammy, Sojourn getting nerfed is a pretty big hit to Mercy's playtime. Damage boosting her railgun shots was probably the best way to take advantage of the 25% damage bonus, but now the damage boosted rails don't even deal as much damage as the unboosted ones did in Season 10. Although Ashe is definitely also great with Mercy, just having less pocketing options is enough to make her weaker overall. But either way, she's in C tier instead of D tier or less because Ashe is more than good enough of a pocket, and Pharah getting more playtime makes it a lot easier for Mercy to stay alive. Unfortunately for Mercy, the Pharmacy Pocket isn't equally useful for both heroes anymore. Pharah doesn't need a Mercy Pocket now that she has her new movement and higher rate of spam, but it has a decent impact. Pharah's rockets are already busted, so adding onto that damage can win you the fight even faster. But overall, Mercy is still the weakest support. She's easy to play and gets decent value, but with so many hit scans, including Mauga being so strong right now, you're always going to be on the run. Moving up to B tier already, first up is Moira. Although she was literally S tier in Season 9, now that Tracer isn't as strong, there's not much of a need of a totally unkillable support. In the brawly frontline meta, she can keep up with the heals, but she can't keep up with the burst damage from overpowered abilities and ultimates like Overdrive and Barrage. That's where you need abilities like Life Grip or Suzu or Immortality Field, and if you don't have those kinds of saving abilities as a support, you have to make up for it with a strong neutral or ultimate, and Moira is definitely falling behind when it comes to that. The latest change she got was a nerf to her damage and a buff to her Coalescence self-heal, and to repeat what I said when that patch first dropped, her Coalescence was already keeping her alive, so it's definitely a net nerf instead of a rebalancing compensation change. Once again, she really suffers without her utility, and even though her healing output is great, it can't keep up with the insanely high amounts of spam being pumped out all the time. You might be able to build your core quickly, but you'll definitely run out of heals too fast. Next in B tier is Zenyatta. It may be a spammy meta, but all the best tanks are stuck in the front line, prime for discording and getting spammed out easily. It's always pretty hard to play Zen even when he's good. Without 275 HP, he's just so squishy to both spam and flankers. But there's definitely an abundance of maps and points in the game where you can safely spam from the back, and anyone trying to engage you has to go through your line of sight first. Other maps can be really tough, especially the fast-paced game modes like Flashpoint and Push. Zen has the same problem as Widowmaker, where he just can't set up safely or at all in some cases. At least when it comes to his other support pairing, pretty much everyone works. Only Lucio makes it hard, but even the Lucio Zen classic dive combo is really good when your Lucio balances between pushing hard with your Discord and peeling you when you need it. Zen is definitely B tier and playable, but compared to other supports, he's just much more counterable and has to fight to get value with Discords and damage. But at least his ultimate is the perfect counter during this meta. Not all support ultimates are great counters, but Zen's got that box checked. Now for the top B tier hero, it's Lifeweaver. For the last few seasons, he's actually been really hard to kill. His dash and platform are great for escaping pressure instantly, and that leaves him free to heal as much as he wants. And he doesn't just have consistent healing, he's got 30 meters of range too. Still not as much as Kiriko's busted 35 meters, but it's decent. Although Lifeweaver is pretty limited to just healing, his life grip is still incredibly useful. No other support can save their allies so effectively. Just his presence alone in the game counters solo ulting, and when your tank is taking so much pressure like the frontliners Mauga and Ramattra often do, you're always going to find opportunities to save them from all the burst damage they'll be taking. And to finish hyping him up, his ultimate is always tough to deal with. High spam damage combined with Mauga means it's actually reasonable to destroy the tree pretty quickly, but even in the worst case scenario, you're forcing the enemy to shoot a structure, leaving your team open to farm up their overhealth and keep trading damage with the enemy. Lifeweaver is a pretty passive hero, so even if he's really good at his job, it's tough to be higher than B tier when other supports can heal and save just like he can, but also deal damage and debuff enemies or buff allies. And now to kick off A tier, it's Illari. Fitting that you got a decent healing buff right as her home map comes out. She's been pretty annoying as a solo carry pick who just spams like a DPS. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. She can seriously put out a ton of damage, but now that her healing pylon is much better for her allies and not for herself only, she's stronger in a different way. Her team healing is crazy good, and her pylon health being back to 125 means it doesn't instantly shatter when hit with 2 bullets. She has comparably low utility to Moira, but she actually has range and headshot potential, so her focus fire is much more effective, and in a spammy meta, she fits right in. Her ultimate may be easy to cleanse, but ever since it got the buff to 160 damage, if it gets detonated, it can easily kill or set up a kill. She still has the most offensively oriented support ultimate, it's just about activating the explosion to get picks. She's definitely worth practicing. She may not have the game-breaking utility that the top half of the support heroes have, but her raw damage and healing output are extremely strong right now. The only thing holding her back in that regard is her healing range, but now that it's not a dive-heavy meta, it's not making much of a difference. Your tank shouldn't be deep diving, and if they're unaware enough to do so, you have bigger problems than picking the right support. Second in A tier is Ana. She's a symbol of old Overwatch, where the best supports can't do everything at once. She's actually decent at balancing her healing and damage, but the S tier heroes just do it way better. So the reason she's still A tier is that she's a decent hero with the only readily available anti-heal in the game. It's one of the only ways to instantly force popular tanks like Mauga and Roadhog out of the fight, and it's not like it's weaker when applied to anyone else. It may only last 3 seconds, but in the current meta, that's enough when so much damage and healing can be done in that short time. And defensively, the Biotic Nade still works as a discount saving ability. The only thing that can reasonably stop you as the Ana from keeping your boost healed ally alive is another anti from the enemy or defense matrix. As the Ana, there's not much you can do, but you can have a support like Illari have her secondary fire beam pass right through the matrix, or Briggs packs that pretty much can't ever be blocked. Ana may not have the best self-defenses with her long cooldowns, but she's good enough to carry games with. You just absolutely have to hate your shots and abilities. Wasting your sleep or nade even once gives the enemy team a massive opportunity that you don't want to allow for. And to finish off the top of A tier, it's Brig. She's not even as flashy as Ana and Illari, but she's the last line of defense against dive compositions. Just like how Ana helps counter Roadhog, Brig is ideal for countering Wrecking Ball and Doomfist, and she can even trade damage against Winston with ease. It doesn't even matter that he ignores armor. Brig and the rest of the A tier supports don't exactly thrive against the top tier meta comps, but now that Brig's repair packs are on just a 5-second cooldown, she can at least keep up the healing at long range. Not bad for supporting Pharah and Echo, who can do so much when constantly healed on their spam angle. There's a lot of things keeping Brig out of S tier. There's obviously the high spam and brawl meta where Brig can struggle to keep up, but her ultimate takes a good while to build. It's the 5th most expensive ultimate, which is really rough, but after all the buffs it's gotten, it's an amazing counter ultimate. It's a lot of shields to get through all of a sudden, on top of the stuns and the extra AoE overhealth, and although she's nowhere near as tanky as she was on launch, for that 10-second rally duration, she pretty much becomes the second tank. And finally, for the S tier supports, and although I would love to hype them up, they're the same old top supports we're used to. First is Lucio, the most balanced of the top 3. But he's also secretly gotten better at his strengths even now late into Overwatch 2, most notably his peeling. It's not just Cassidy keeping flankers at bay with his flashbang, but Lucio's boop is insanely strong. It's dealing more damage than ever at 45 and booping further than ever with its buff movement lockout. Just one Soundwave and Tracer, Genji, Sombra, or anyone else trying to creep on your backline is forced out of the fight. Outside of his peeling, he's still doing excellent. Now that it's mostly frontline tanks, you really want speed for both pushing your advantage or kiting the enemies. Both teams might end up spamming each other, but when someone gets low, you're not going to want to let them heal up, and Lucio is best for enabling that punish. Between the top tanks of Mauga, Ramattra, and Sigma, if one tank has speed and the other doesn't, there's a massive difference. And now that Cassidy's speed in High Noon ramps up towards the end, you're going to want to amp that up even higher for free teamfight wins. It may be a spammy meta, but the best way to avoid spam is by setting up faster. The more time you spend getting poked, the harder it's going to be to reset and go again. Second in S tier is Baptiste, and it makes a lot of sense. Spam and brawl is his bread and butter, his area of effect healing for the frontline and his long range poke to keep enemies low and pressured. After going through the entirety of the support lineup, we've also finally gotten to the immortality field. Combined with his consistent healing, it's a lot easier to prevent your allies from getting bursted immediately. It's also pretty safe to say that there are no weak maps for him. He can access high grounds with his exo boots, pressure open space with his damage and amplification matrix, and farm heals on his team in close quarters. The only thing he can't do is reliably heal flying heroes. Sure, you can go for the skill shot, but now that Echo and especially Pharah are such dominating forces, you'll want your main healer to keep them up consistently, and that's why the number 1 S tier pick is still Kiriko. It's pretty disappointing, but it's pretty clear that Kiriko is staying on as a top tier pick. Sojourn has finally gotten her day, but Kiriko's will apparently be a little while longer. But even so, she's being taken down a notch. She's much better at quickly pocketing flankers, and Suzu as a cleanse can often be much better than Immortality Field. But now that there's so much spam being traded, it's easier to play to that spam instead of the brawl. And when your tank gets super low and keeps inting their health, you'll want Baptiste to rectify that instead of Kiriko. Although thanks to Kitsune Rush, a heal bot in Kiriko will always be rewarded. That's it for the support tier list for Season 11. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.